Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another interesting video. This video is a little bit more serious, and it's basically a Reddit review, but an interesting Reddit review in regards to the recent incidences that have been occurring in America. It's absolutely gotten out of control, so I figured let's look at some very interesting suggestions and also take some suggestions from chat today as far as the question that's on this AskReddit thread: what will it take for it to stop mass shootings in America? This is a very interesting blurb right here. People want things to be better. They're just unwilling to sacrifice anything personally to deal with it. California, for instance, considered one of the most liberal states in the country, tried setting up government housing to address homelessness. But the second people realized those homeless people would now be living in units down the street from their own homes, they conveniently changed their minds and decided this isn't the best way to deal with this issue, LOL. It's unsurprising to a certain extent. This country is founded upon concepts of individualism and personal liberty rather than communalism, where me and my success are seemingly more important than a society as a whole. People are too miserable due to so many things. Some are self-inflicted, some are not, to actually be willing to do anything about it, in my opinion. This user has a super valid point. It's like, let's help the people that are in need, but then, of course, oh, I just don't want those people to be around me. There are so many mass shootings and so many gun-related deaths that happen daily almost in America. You never hear about them. You hear about the ones that make the top of the leaderboard, but you never hear the ones that are on the bottom of the leaderboard. Literally here, we quantify shootings. Which shootings made the most impact? Which is why I feel like kids have this sick thing where they're like, the Sandy Hook shooting made an impact. The recent shooting like yesterday made an impact. Maybe that's the message I have to send to make an impact. That's what young adults and kids with mental issues are thinking when they see shit like this, because they see that, like, okay, obviously murder, suicide, that's like lightweight. That's not doing shit, right? Like, it's not making news coverage. No one's talking about that shit. That shit is swept under the rug. Well, with mass shootings, you're affecting several families, shitloads of people, and they're targeting little children, bro, little ass kids. I feel like if America tried to place restrictions on the purchase of weapons, on the possession of weapons by Americans, I feel like the average American here would treat that like they did back in the day with the prohibition in alcohol. The current issue is weapons altogether. So we have to, like, you know, do something about the weapons that are legalized here. You get guns a lot of places without background checks. Actually, what's fucked up about the shooting that just happened, the governor just made it so you don't have to have a background check to buy a weapon in Texas, bro. What a fucking bitter pill to swallow. Shortly after he made that a thing, because he made that law last year.
As horrible as what happened, it could have been worse.
Every time there's a mass shooting, they do some crazy deep dive into the shooter's past, and it's always sinister and spooky, and everyone's freaking out. But then you have the edgy teens that have mental issues looking at the shit. They're like, wow, I really kind of like admire how fucking terrified people are of these mass shooters. Maybe I should do the same thing myself. And all of a sudden you have some bad apples imitating other shooters. Bro, think about it. All these shootings look kind of similar. The shootings look very similar. There hasn't been anything that's been out of the ordinary with each shooting. It's been very copycat. There's just been a higher frequency of these shootings. If you kill 200 people by yourself, you basically will be glorified on the media in a way where they're trying to not glorify you in the media. They're like, oh my God, this kid holds the world record for most people killed by a single person. This is the scariest thing that's ever happened in the history of America, and I hope we can solve this issue as fast as possible. The shooter's name is da-da-da-da-da. He was born in da-da-da-da-da. His likes and interests were blah, 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 blah. Nobody liked him, blah, 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 blah. He got abused by his parents, blah, 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 blah. And he holds the world record for most kills. Will anybody be able to top that? I hope not. And then you have some fucking edgy ass kid who's looking at that on the news and they're like, wow, that guy killed 200 people by himself. What if somebody else did more than that? You know, it's always like, what's the next extreme? Because that shit eventually will get to a point where we get desensitized from, wow, well, it was only 10 people. We're quantifying deaths. We're comparing deaths. This shit is so fucked up, bro. It's so fucked up. Nothing changed the last time children barely older than toddlers were shot. Nothing will change this time. The comment underneath this comment says, the tragedies are heartbreaking every time. The problems are generally similar each time, and no one has large-scale interest in making aims to fix them. If you see the problem as people who shouldn't have access to weaponry, then people at this time are going to ask for some laws for gun control to make some steps forward. Mandatory training, licensing, disabling sales of guns or accessories that increase rate of fire, weapon capacity, firearm quantity limitation, or stopping power of bullets. Something along those lines gets suggested. Many will oppose and believe they have to defend themselves. Good guy with a gun. Gun sales will go up. Around now, nothing gets done. Once again, if you see this as a problem of homicide contagion, where if it's seen by many people, then people will think this is what is normalized to do. If you want to commit this act for the various reasons people do, then the response is to not give events national attention because awareness isn't the problem. Giving fuel for copycats. The solution consistently recommended is to keep news local and have local communities supported by federal response work to resolve the issues locally. But the national news and social media will continue to report it at a national level and make it a top story. The media will sensationalize it and capitalize off the tragedy. People will retweet it, think they're sharing important news, but instead they're fueling it. Nothing gets done. If you see this as a problem of mental health, then the answer is to make it illegal for people with mental health issues to have access to weaponry while mobilizing a socialized medical system and education system that encourages the population to take adequate care of themselves and be supported by healthcare professionals who can give them reasonable access to the lifelong care that they need. Then the fight comes over changing the healthcare system. No one agrees. Time passes, people forget. Once again, nothing gets done. If you see this as a problem of a lack of political willpower to create meaningful change to prevent all of these things, then the only hope is to vote for the people who offer to create that meaningful change. And that's about all we can do as far as people sitting from afar, that and support the victims of the tragedy. Basically, all of the suggestions we've gotten to minimize, regulate, manage gun control have not worked. This comment is very interesting, and I was telling my wife about this earlier. The children of important people will have to fall victim. They don't care if us riffraff die off. We've all been cannon fodder all this time besides. Very interesting. I know it sounds fucked up, but I feel like in order for there to be some serious change, I feel like the child of like a lead politician has to lose their life. Unfortunately, that's what it's come to, because nothing is being pushed to actively change anything unless someone in power is affected by it. Poverty barely gets glanced at, right? Because people who are in power are so far removed from poverty that they could give a fuck about poverty, bro. So if something that hits close to home, like them losing someone in their family due to the same gun violence that's been affecting a lot of Americans happens to them, I feel like there would be an expedited push to try to do something in regards to attempting to minimize potential future situations that would result in mass shootings. This is going to be our final comment. We're going to talk about this and then we'll wrap things up. High school admin who is stepping down after this year. This is my last week in a high school, and here's my perspective. Parents need to listen and hug their children more. They need to stop playing friend or dictator and actually explain why they do the things they do. Give your kids your time. Every great teacher I work with, they are like magnets to the kids because they give them attention. And that this year alone, I dealt with a bomb threat and had the kid I would label as our most probable school shooter tell me, most people think that if they're nice to me, I don't know, that if I become a shooter, I wouldn't shoot them, but I still think I would. Shrugs. Today I had to fill out a CPS report because a mom came to school and started hitting her 14-year-old daughter in the face. So here's the deal. And I don't care if one person reads this or 10,000. Give your kids a fucking hug. Give your neighbor's kid a hug. Tell them it's okay to be angry. We all get angry. We all get sad. However, it's how we deal with it that separates us from animals. Last, remind them no matter what time of day or night, if they need you, like really need you, that you'll be there for them and mean it, and stop taking your anger out on your kids. Hey, that's true, man. I do feel like there's too much fuck shit going on between parents and their children. I've been saying that. It seems like a lot of these mass shooters, bro, have problems at the home. Parents don't give a fuck about their kids, or they're too hard on their kids, or they want to be their kid's best friend. When they do that, they wind up putting their own personal issues on their children and treat their children like they're their therapists. It becomes overwhelming, and then kids start doing wild things. F and Clean says, like I said, it's kinda like a cry of help, because they don't know any further how they can get the help that they need. I do agree to some extent, which is what I was saying earlier. These children feel like they aren't heard, they're misunderstood, and then they feel like that justifies them killing a lot of people. Let's read this comment and then we'll conclude after this. We have to accept change first. We're at a point in history where nothing is going to be widely accepted. If we take away guns, there will be riots. If we keep guns, there will be riots. If we investigate people who seem like a threat, there will be riots. If we change nothing, there will be riots. See a trend here? The only way things are going to change is if we get people to understand that we're not trying to make our country perfect. We're trying to make it better, and there will be things you disagree with, and that's okay. The problem is that we're currently at a stalemate with ourselves. It's becoming a shouting match of who's right and who's wrong, all while literal elementary school kids are getting shot up and killed. 19 kids were killed yesterday. 19 fucking kids. If this happened in France, people would burn down France's National Assembly. For us, it's Tuesday. Mass shootings have become such a problem that people are quite literally debating what constitutes a mass shooting. There are actually people out there that believe a mass shooting has to have someone get killed in order to actually consider it a mass shooting. And if that doesn't tell you that our country has become completely desensitized to actual children being cut down by rifle fire, then I can't help you. Stop arguing about everything and grow the fuck up. Kids are getting killed. Alu says, a lot of people today on Twitter said that banning guns wouldn't solve the problem, comparing them to drugs. First, I don't think that you can compare the two. Second of all, who said you have to ban them? They're not banned in the rest of the world. They're just regulated. Yeah, I think people in America, when you say gun regulation, they immediately jump to, they're going to get banned. I do appreciate you guys giving me your 2 cents on this issue. This is a very, very crazy issue, man. I'm curious to know what your opinions are. I would love to hear what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comments down below.